Hey y'all, it's Christy here from Saving Grace Homestead, and in our last video I asked you all to tell me what are your roadblocks for getting healthy. Now a lot of us think, especially at New Year's time, that getting healthy means, oh, I'm going to go back to the gym or I'm going to cut out carbs or things like that. But I'm not just talking about weight loss, okay? I am talking about true health, like down to the cellular level, as in no matter what's thrown at you this year, your body is going to be ready to fight it and to overcome. So what are those roadblocks for you is what I asked in the last video, and I will be touching on some of those really common ones. However, I wanted to touch on today one that most people probably don't even think of as a roadblock, but it's a huge one, and it's the one we're going to start with. So let's talk about it. So let's get the disclaimer out of the way. I am not a doctor. None of this is medical advice, and I'm sharing my opinion and my experience with you. And as always, you should talk with your healthcare provider before making any changes or any decisions. Okay, so now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, the biggest roadblock for most people is their mindset. What do I mean by that? It's the way you see yourself in relation to your health and your health care. Most of the times when we talk about health care, people think of our Western medical system. When I say health care, I'm talking about caring for your health. That's what you do before you get sick. Our Western medical system is sick care. It is not health care. It is caring for your sickness and your symptoms that come about when you are lacking or struggling with health. So I'm talking about caring for your actual health so that we don't have all those symptoms and we don't have all those issues. Okay, so where do you fit into that? You are the boss. That's where you fit in. Your healthcare, think of it like a company or a building. If you're a builder, think of it that way. You're in charge, and everybody else that is coming into contact with your health is on your team. You're the boss. They're part of the team. You are hiring them. They work for you. And you're thinking, but I'm not a doctor. Nope, you're not. You're not. And so you don't have to have all of the knowledge of the doctors. If you go look at, a CEO of a large company, they probably don't know everything about everything, but they do know who to go to get the information that they need to make the decisions that they need to make, right? You're the CEO of your health. So who is on your team? For many people, it's just their doctor, right? Their primary care physician, and maybe a specialist or two if you've got additional issues that you're dealing with. That's pretty much the extent of your team. I want to encourage you to broaden your perspective, okay? That would be like a builder, right? You're going to try to build a whole house, and you're like, I have my trusty hammer. I can do the whole thing with my trusty hammer. My hammer has never let me down, and it can do a lot of things. So I'm certain I can build this whole house with just a hammer. We would laugh, right? That would be foolish. So it's the same way with your health. And this is not putting down doctors, because a good doctor should be part of your healthcare team, but it should not be the only part of your healthcare team. And if your doctor has the mindset that he or she is God or king over your healthcare, they might not be the best fit for your team. You're in charge. They're working for you. They are one of your resources. They are one of the tools in your toolbox, and they need to be a team player. Okay, so for instance, on my healthcare team, I have my nurse practitioner whom I love, and she has never poo-pooed anything holistic. She has always worked as part of a team. She has worked with me. She has validated my concerns. She listens and gets down to the bottom of stuff for me when I need her to. And if I say, hey, I'm going to do this over here, or this is what my naturopath said, she listens. Okay. She might not always agree with all of that, and that's fine. They don't all have to agree. They don't all have to see things the same way, but they have to work as part of a team. So I have my amazing nurse practitioner. I have had an endocrinologist. I have a naturopath. I have a chiropractor. All of these people are part of my team. Okay. And you might need to have more people on your team than that, and that's okay. But these are all part of your team, and they need to be team players. Now, if you're thinking, all I need is my nurse practitioner, all I need is my specialist, all I need is my medical doctor, these other people, I don't need all that stuff. That's all quackery. Here's the thing. Again, I talk about this as these people as being resources. So, if the only resources you have come from allopathic medicine, and allopathic is our Western medicine system. It is pharmaceutical based. So in allopathic medicine, they have all of the things after their name. They went to medical school and all of that. And unfortunately, the pharmaceutical companies have done a really good job of training all of us to believe that only people who went to medical school know anything about health. And that's extremely unfortunate. I think the tide is turning on that, which I'm really glad to see. But here's why you need to start thinking about that differently if that's been you. The pharmaceutical industry, which is a billion-dollar industry, okay? And yes, there are times we need pharmaceuticals. So again, I'm not telling you don't ever do those things. But let's just look at a little bit of history here. Let's know what we're dealing with. So the pharmaceutical companies help fund the colleges that teach the doctors and the nurses. They write the curriculum that teaches the doctors and the nurses. And then they provide the funding for the studies about their own product, that then they tell doctors and nurses, this is what's safe, this is what's not safe. Oh, but Krista, they have to be peer reviewed. The peer reviews are happening oftentimes in these teaching colleges, right? Again, who's writing big checks to those colleges? The pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so it's a nice little circle here where there's one common denominator that's in control of what information is put out, how that information is perceived, how it is utilized, and it's always very friendly toward the pharmaceutical companies, okay? So again, there's times that we have to reach for those things, but we need to look at it with a really clear perspective. So it's not that your doctor or your nurse or whoever isn't smart. They're very smart. They're very educated. They're very helpful. I am absolutely certain. And you should have one that you can trust. That's really, really important. However, would you ask, let's say a soccer coach to build a bridge? No, right? Most of us wouldn't be calling on the local soccer coach to come build a bridge. Why? Because the soccer coach knows soccer stuff. The engineers that build bridges or that design bridges are the ones that we would go to for that. It's the same way with your doctor. Your doctor might be a brilliant, genius individual. However, your doctor was trained in certain things, and they know a whole lot about those certain things. Those certain things revolve around pharmaceuticals. So if you go to your doctor, your allopathic doctor, again, your typical Western medicine doctor, you come to them, they're going to say, what part of you is not working and what medication can we give for that part, or what surgery, what intervention can we give for that part? Which is fine if that's what you need. However, you need to understand that you have other resources, other options. And so it's important anytime we're making a decision to look at all of our options, right? Again, coming back to that CEO, if he's going to be making a decision for the company, he's going to go to the finance person and he's going to talk about what do the finances look like for this project. He's going to go to the creative team. He's going to go to the customer service team. He's going to go to these different places to see, okay, how is this going to play out in these different areas of our company? Let me get the perspective from different people on the board. You need to be the same way with your health. Go to your doctor or your primary care physician. Go to the specialist that you normally see. Ask them questions. The problem is that that's where most people stop. You need more people on your team. You need more tools in your toolboxes. Otherwise, you are just limiting yourself. It's not that there aren't other things out there. It's not that you don't have other options. The problem is that you have limited your options because you have limited your resources and your tools in your toolbox. So I'm calling on you, challenging you to change your mindset and to expand your resources. And this doesn't mean you can say, Krista, I don't have money to go see all these other people. You don't always have to go see all of these other people every time, right? If you have a health issue, you don't have to go make an appointment with your doctor necessarily. You don't have to go make an appointment with your specialist. You don't have to go make an appointment with 5 different people. But you need to have an established relationship with several different people who would be good resources for you if you ever have a question or an issue. So for instance, I had been diagnosed a long time ago with thyroid cancer. Got that taken care of a few years ago. It came back, and that's a whole other story. I don't think that that's really the right term for it, but that's the term the doctors used. So we'll go with that. So I found out by going to my normal endocrinologist, and then from there he sent me to a surgeon. I discussed all the options with the surgeon, got his perspective and his opinion on it, and then I went home and I called my naturopath and I said, okay, here's the deal. Here's what we have. What are my options? And so I got information from as many people as I could on my team, and then I weighed my options. I sat and thought about, what do I want to do and what is going to bring me closer to encouraging my body to be healthy, not just temporarily solve the problem, but how can I help my body to do what it's supposed to do and to be the healthiest, most whole version that I can be. Okay. And so that is what I would like to see more people doing, because so many people limit themselves to only their doctor. And if somebody says, hey, you know what, there's this natural thing that you could do to help you out with that would really help your body, they're like, okay, well, I'll go ask my doctor about it. Okay, you go ask the soccer coach about how we should build this bridge. I mean, you can do that. That's your choice. But your doctor knows what your doctor knows, and your doctor doesn't know what your doctor doesn't know. Your doctor was not trained in holistic health. Your doctor was trained very little in nutrition. So a lot of us just make the mistake of thinking that one resource knows more than it does. And again, this is not poo-pooing on doctors, because they are necessary and they are super important when you need that resource. If I need a diagnosis for something, I have to go to my doctor. If I need blood work, I have to go to my doctor. And I'm thankful that I have a doctor that I trust. But I also have my naturopath that can tell me things that my doctor can't, that knows things that my doctor doesn't, that has experience that my doctor doesn't. And so it's not that one is better than the other. They really shouldn't be at odds with one another. It's unfortunate in America that has been the case, that we've seen allopathic and homeopathic as like enemies of one another. They shouldn't be. You should have both on your team, because this isn't about who's better. This is about your health, and you need to take charge of it. And you need to decide, who am I going to hire to be on my team? How can I make sure that I have the most resources available to me when I have an issue? Or more importantly, if I want to avoid an issue, who am I going to talk to? What questions am I going to ask? Who can I reach out to that might give me a different perspective? So I have both. I reach for homeopathic, I reach for allopathic. It depends on the situation. And over time, I've learned enough that I have become a lot more confident in my decisions and what questions I ask and who I go to for what situation. And that just comes with time. It's part of your journey. But that is the thing that I think most people have a hurdle with, that they didn't even realize was a hurdle. But until you get over that hurdle of seeing yourself in the proper place in your healthcare, you're just going to be limited. You're going to be limited, and you're constantly going to be chasing health by treating sickness. And that's not how we gain health. Health is built before we get sick, not after. But unfortunately, a lot of us wait until we have that cancer diagnosis, until we have exhausted all of the allopathic resources that we can. And then we think, oh my gosh, the medical community doesn't know everything. And what am I going to do now? I don't have answers. And it's at rock bottom when people finally reach for homeopathy. And that's unfortunate. I would like to see that change. Reach for it now so that you can be building health, strengthening your immune system, ridding your body of anything that's going to be a hindrance, so that if something comes along, your body's already in fighting shape. It's already ready to go. Okay? Let's stop chasing health by treating sickness and start actually building health. Build your team. Build your team now. And that's all I have to say in this one. We'll be covering, I think, sugar in the next one. So stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions about, how I've built my team or what I look for or anything like that, I'm happy to answer it. So go ahead and leave me a comment if you have any questions, or again, if there's a roadblock that you're like, well, this is where I really struggle, or this is where I really get confused, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I will use those things to form our next videos. So anyway, I will see you in the next one. Let's get help.